I'm trying to give my problem away right now.
Oh, really? Seriously? Okay.
I would love to give my problems away.
Yeah.
Upon landing back home from being up there, I was rushed to the emergency room and found out I was pregnant with a kidney stone that I've got in the liver.
Fun. That's not fun.
It's not been real fun for me. So I'm trying to give that problem away.
Yeah, or get it removed, one of the two.
Yep.
Yeah. So absolutely get it. So sorry to hear about that, Dwayne, but yeah, no, seriously. Yeah, make sure you get that looked after. So Don, if you want to join us, you can just raise your hand and there's buttons at the bottom to do that. And Jason and Sarah Lynn. Hey, Sarah Lynn, if you would like to join us as a panelist, please feel free. Katrina, you too, we can fill things up. And there's Don. Super glad to have you, Don. Awesome, awesome, awesome. I'm just making my screen bigger because I gotta stretch you guys out here. And yeah, we'll take on as many as the system will handle. So, okay. So as I was saying, do you own your own problems? Do you give your problems away? Hey, Sarah Lynn, nice to see you again. Do you try to get other people to solve your problems for you? What is the value of problems in your life? And these and other questions, and how mind models make problem solving simpler, easier, faster. This is what we're going to be experiencing tonight on the Blair Dunkley Experience. And hi to Connie. So shout out to Connie. Super. So problems. What are the problems that we have? What are some of them? I mean, we know Dwayne has a problem with a kidney stone. Hey, Katrina, glad you could make it. Super. Jason, so glad you jumped on. So thank you. And what problems are we tracking tonight? We have Don. We don't have any in the chat box. Just read that through. So, John, I'm going to pick on you. So, and we only have one John on here tonight.
Okay. So, well, a problem is something that basically I think presents us with some level of discomfort because we don't know how to solve it. We don't know how to proceed. So we feel kind of stuck.
Absolutely. And what does that do for us? What blessing in disguise is there for that problem?
Well, it gives us a challenge to overcome. And once we overcome it, then that leads to happiness. Absolutely true.
Absolutely true. Dwayne is waiting for his happiness to come when he gets his kidney stone removed. So that's going to be a problem and then a relief. Definitely. What other, what kinds of problems do you have? And Dawn, so what kinds of problems do you have?
So, like, what categories of problems or specifically?
We'll deal with specifics. It's fine.
So one problem I have currently is I've been stuck in my business at the same level for 4 months, and I'm really focused on developing the skills that I require to get to the next level.
Mm-hmm. And so, basically, you're owning the problem clearly, correct?
I believe it's up to me to solve this problem.
Okay, then what might you do about this specifically?
I might get my butt on this call tonight, even though it's past my bedtime. I might skill up, like being part of the mind model coaching method is part of trying to solve my problem. I know that there's a skill set that I'm lacking, that if I learn it and integrate it and, successfully utilize it, that I will get to the next level for sure.
So you've got a chance, as Katrina said, a chance to learn and grow. Spot on.
Yeah.
What else here? What do you think you need to explore here?
I need to explore why it's been this long that I've been stuck.
Pardon me? I mean, I'm going to pick on you a little bit.
The purpose, yeah. What purpose is this being stuck serving in my life? Or
great question. So what purpose is it being stuck serving? So like, we don't have problems randomly exactly. I mean, we can just say, yeah, kidney stone is a little random. That's true. But there are other things that we can take a look at.
Yeah. I mean, I think what comes to mind is some of the things are, comfort zone, like, okay, so it's, the level I'm at isn't horrible. It's actually a decent level to be at. I am earning more money than I ever have. I am having some fun. Like, things aren't horrible. And so, like, how bad do I want it is sort of a question. And with that next level comes more responsibility. And do I have the self-confidence to fulfill that responsibility? Okay.
So, John, definitely John, Melissa, Sarah Lynn, you guys definitely, and Dwayne, you guys definitely have the skill sets to be questioning Dawn on this, to try and help her find clarity, because this is going to be a process of doing this. I mean, I can work this through, but I think it's more important that we get other people leveling up their skills as well, too.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, cool. Thanks for volunteering, Dawn. Appreciate it. John, Connie, what are some questions?
What might you do specifically right now?
So specifically what I am doing now, Connie, is well, so here's a comfort zone example for you. I don't usually get on these Tuesday night calls because I like to be in bed by 9 o'clock. I'm on the East Coast and I'm fading. I like to kind of shut my brain off in the evening. So what might I do specifically? What I'm going to do is commit to being like, don't be a baby, stay up till 10 o'clock, go to bed at 10 o'clock, like many other adults, and just get the work done. Even though I, feel like I'd rather just be in my pajamas in bed right now, like show up anyway. That's one thing I might do that's different than what I've been doing.
How might you take that question, now that you've got the answer from it, Connie, and move that to a deeper level? What part is she giving an answer to, and what part of it is still missing? And Melissa, you definitely need this skill as well. Okay, so we got to hear for what's being said and what's not being said.
I think what not being said is she's not even being more specific. And what is being said, maybe an excuse.
And how do you get to that excuse? Is it actually an excuse?
Right, and that's what I was toying with.
How do you test?
Yeah.
Okay, I want to point this out. This is really good stuff. Most people say, well, that's boring. She just answered it. This isn't any good. Well, it is really good because most of us do exactly what you're doing, Dawn. And we go, okay, so I'm going to change my external behavior and hope that everything else starts shifting.
That was it.
Okay. And so, Bill, you just had a big head nod. What did you got to unmute? So what happened for you? What was the thing that you just noticed?
I was thinking, oh, of course, there's something to shift internally that would make a big difference externally.
Right. And what might that be?
Her viewpoint.
Exactly. And with her point of view shifting, what else can we take a look at?
Don't know.
Okay, and that's okay. I don't really expect you haven't been around that much, but I'm going to pick on other people that are in mind model coach training. So they're learning these skill sets, and other people who've been around more. And I'm just going to pick on people. Melissa, I'm going to pick on you, not because you're in mind model coach training, but because I've been working on you and your, in your coaching zone stuff and helping you through stuff. So how might you dive deeper with the question and the circumstance that Dawn just answered with?
I just didn't understand the connection, how that action could lead to the result that she's looking for. So Dawn, could you explain that a bit?
Yeah, I think I understand what you're saying. So for me, the action of, how do they say it?
Staying up late and not being a baby.
Like you do what it takes. Like successful people do what it takes to be successful. And so I'm recognizing that my routine of sort of closing out my day at 6 or 7 o'clock, like having the family time and being in bed by 9 is not working for me. I need to get to the next level. I'm committed to getting to the next level. So continuing to not make it a point to get on a call like this. And I hear what you're saying, that behavior alone, there has to be an internal shift. I understand what you're saying. But I'm showing up here because I do believe this is where I'm going to learn some skills that I require, that I'm deficient in right now. So I'm trying to answer your question and not dance around it. Would you rephrase that or ask that?
That makes sense, that you just connected them for me. So now I have an understanding. I just wasn't sure if you were just going to come to this call and that was going to somehow lead to the result. But it sounds like you're going to come to this call in order to learn.
For sure. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
What? And then what?
And then internalize and really learn and use these skills. Practice these skills daily, really.
Absolutely agreed. Mind models need to be taken out and used daily, preferably, if not more times than just once a day. I mean, all the time. But
all the time, yeah.
Yeah. But more importantly what are you doing and what are you missing? Because you've given us an answer that I don't think you've heard, and I actually think it's something that's effective.
So what I'm doing is kind of stretching myself.
Yes, and simultaneously stretching and doing something else.
And learning and rewiring.
No, is what you're doing complicated, or is it relatively straightforward and simple?
I think it's pretty simple.
It is. So what you're doing is you're challenging yourself with a simple change.
Right.
And as you go to the next level, almost without exception, not perfect, but it's close. Pardon me. Every single time I see people actually take themselves to the next level, they have to find a way to simplify their life. Do something that's significant, but is generally simple to do, or literally simplifies their life. So is sticking to a rigid schedule working for you?
No.
Well, I would argue, do you know that for a fact? Or is it just something that you're willing to test?
I'm willing to test it. So is it working for me? It's not horrible, but I still have like this urge or feeling inside me that I want more.
Right. And so what type of more are you looking for?
I want more income. I want a bigger team. I want more choices. I want
just 2
less
seconds.
bills.
Those three things,
Yeah.
we'll just stick with, well, we can put in less bills, but that's a side effect of more. So let's start taking a look at that, and let's start breaking that down into problem solving. And we've started to take a look at these problems, this way that we're approaching problems, as what did Dawn give us? Can somebody summarize? Sarah Lynn, can you summarize that? And if not Sarah Lynn, then I'm going to pick on Randy.
Can you pick on someone else for right now? I'm kind of having some gaps myself in this process.
That's fine. Randy. You got it. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm here.
Good.
Sorry, what was the question?
So Don just gave us 3 specific areas. Mm-hmm. Did you? Okay. Mm-hmm. And so what is that? How might we approach that, and how might we help her to clarify / simplify in those areas, like build a team? She wants to build her team.
Well, without getting into specifics, I would say that, it comes down to taking an action.
It does. Now, what kind of action is? Well,
I found myself, and I'm probably the wrong person to be doing this, because I'm a knowledge junkie, and action is something that I suffer with every day. So,
is it action that you suffer with, or inaction that you suffer with?
Inaction.
Yeah. Right.
Inaction. So, it's funny. When I set steps for myself in the morning. So what I'll do is I'll sit down and I'll say, well, what simple thing can I do that'll bring me closer to where I gotta be? And I try to do that one thing. That might be something stupid. It might be something that seems totally insignificant, but it's something that brings me closer to what I want to do. Another thing that I do as well is, I do affirmations in the morning, and those affirmations kind of are a reminder to me of the things that I have to do. And the other big key here is to write it down.
Yep.
Don't type it on your computer. Don't talk it into your cell phone. Actually, get a pad, get a day timer, okay, and write it down. Because when you write it down, something happens molecularly. It transposes from what you think you have to do to what you can actually do.
Well, 2 things is, one thing, I generally agree with writing it down and physically writing it down, because it uses, absolutely proven, has to. It's a different area of your brain. Okay, yes. So you're actually spreading out what is going on, and you're actually turning it into a micro action, moving you towards that ability to do. So, and you've now sent a clear reminder to your brain to take an action towards whatever it is that you're doing. But the key piece here, Don, that I'd like to work at helping you identify is not totally that doing all of those steps. You can do all of them. That's great. All of them are reasonable. However, the key piece here in say, let's building a team, is defining what that team is that you want. And I'm not hearing anything about really knowing who you're wanting to go after and who you want to attract to your team. You've got elements of wanting a team, but you better know what it is that you're looking for, because you won't find it if you don't go looking for it. Okay.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, I mean, seriously, you gotta set that expectation. And what is it that how do things have to be in order for you to see who you need on your team? And have you defined those expectations and that person? Have you, I mean, they frequently call these avatars, but this is more than an avatar. This is actually role defining a person for a role in your business.
Right. No, I'm definitely looking for right now. I actually stated today, I'm looking to attract 2 leaders. Right now, I'm looking to attract 2 people who already have influence, who already have some skills, but are still collaborative and coachable, that are looking for a new opportunity, that are looking for a fresh start. So I'm only looking for 2 of them right now. It's not that I won't look for more later, but I have sort of narrowed that down. That's been a process I've been going through for a little while about, not just attracting anybody. I've recruited tons of people, but I haven't recruited those 1 or 2 people that are also going to show up on every call, but also do the work in between.
Right. Now, what's the next piece that you need to get clear about those people? Show up on every call, do the work in between. Yes, but what's next? What are those other traits that you need?
Yeah, have influence.
I heard that. I mean, I'm not talking about you repeating and reiterating what you just said, but if you need to reiterate or restate it, then that's fine. But seriously, what are those traits that you need to have?
I think I'm looking for people who are persistent and.
Okay. And then, so if you wrote all those traits down and you went after persistency as well, I'm gonna take a slightly different track here on this one. Actually, no, I'm gonna. What's missing, guys? What's missing
with the way Dawn's approaching it?
Yeah, what's missing?
Well, there's a potential gap that I was picking up on, which to me wasn't so much about like what the plan is or what she's going to do, but it was actually about the way that she was positioning it internally. And it seemed like there was a lot of pushing herself uphill, putting more time in, working harder. That's what I saw as the biggest gap.
I don't disagree with that. However, right at this point, until she gets a good team, working harder is usually, she's got to work harder and smarter right now, because just working harder is not going to cut it. But building a team means that she gets to leverage herself. And before I give it away by saying that, and that's a hint for everybody, what do you think the gap might be?
How do you want to use mind models to leverage your team? Okay.
Dawn, how do you want to use mind models?
Well, I mean, I've thought about a couple of ways that I can and have been actually starting to use it with my current team, but I think moving forward, I will use mind models really to ask questions to people who I'm prospecting or people who are taking a look at my team, to really ask deeper questions and find out what their to find out more about them, to really qualify them more and find out like who it is I'm actually going to be working with.
And so you said that who it is you're actually going to be working with, and what specific, you gave some criteria pieces, but what specific criteria would you have in mind for what that ideal leader looks like?
I want somebody with maybe 3 to 5 years experience in network marketing, somebody that is looking for either a new approach or a new system or a new company, new opportunity, I guess is the best way to say it. Somebody who, I mean, I feel like somebody who maybe has the same story as I do, that, they love the industry, they love what they're doing, but that's not maybe exactly their passion of where they are, but they're looking for something like looking for a new home, like they've been somewhere, they've gained some skills, things are okay, but they're really looking for a new home where they can really thrive.
So what does that mean? Keep going. If you're going to keep going.
I was going to keep going. I was not going to go quite the same direction that you were, Blair. I was going to ask, like, is that congruent with the type of marketing you're doing right now? And if not, what do you need to do to put that into your marketing process?
Exactly. So I've actually thought a lot about this too. I seem to have been attracting, or I have been attracting, the people who are on my team are really new to the industry. They love what we're doing. They love sort of the mission of the company, and they love our team, but they don't necessarily have the experience. So what I've done for marketing has really spoken to kind of newbies in the industry, maybe people that have never ever done it to begin with, but they want to get started. So I've been definitely speaking to more of the beginner versus the veteran, right? So I have consciously been making shifts in my language when I do a Facebook Live or when I do a post, speaking more to like a leader who may be facing some burnout, like they are a leader, they've proven themselves as a leader, but they're losing their edge, or they're facing burnout, or they're no longer feel like where they are is a good fit for them.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
That's the person I want to attract.
And what specifically are your next steps?
Can I caution you against that? That's I hear you loud and clear, Don. I'd like to leverage you. So what I've done in the past, somewhere along the way, I found this thing. It's called around people. You have this matrix, and it's this 4-layer matrix, an A, B, C, and D individual. And the A players are highly results oriented, and they get things done. The B players are individuals who are already in there somewhere along the way and need to be guided. They require guidance. The A players, not so much. In fact, almost zero guidance. You just give them a result, they go after it, they deliver. Okay. And then there's the C players. And these C players are identified by having probably been A players, but have burnt themselves out in the process. And in that burnout, they can sell themselves great, but they suck energy from people. And they really take a lot of support and care and concern and everything. And they can be worse than newbies because they always have this almost edge to them where they can almost do it and they still don't. And they tie you up and hold you back just because of sheer time. Okay. And you put in so much effort with them. And then the D players are players that you either have to get to be a B player or an A player quickly, or you punt them. And that's just turning over a lot of different people, like going through lots and lots of people. I would be trying to find B pluses or a B plus plus or an A minus. Is if I was in your shoes, that's who I'd go after. I would not go after a burnout person that wants to recover from burnout, because the odds are they'll suck you dry, because you'll probably find somebody who goes, yeah, you know what, I'm good enough. I can really support her, and I could get brought into her team, and she'd probably work at wanting to help me out because I've had really good success in the past, and she'd probably want to help me put a team underneath me pretty quickly and make everything happen. And then they get you doing it for them and not you having somebody work with you and making things happen. So I'd be ultra, ultra, ultra cautious around that stuff. Okay. But a B plus or an A minus is exactly where I'd want to be playing here, because that B plus needs some level of guidance. And you were talking about coaching. And what I do is I talk to people about, are you that person that gets results on a pretty connected basis, pretty regular basis, but you're not quite tipping over the edge, but you're a doer. You want to build that and you want to make that happen. If you are, then I'm the person for you to talk to, because I'm looking to put together a team of people that are results oriented folks who are tripping over their own laces sometimes, don't know quite how to make it shift right over the edge so that they really take off on their opportunity that they have. And I don't know how you pitch it, but you could say, I'm learning how to become a mind model coach or whatever, or I have experience or whatever it is. In my experience, people need that little extra support and guidance from people to really get them over that edge and to help them seriously transform their lives. If that's you, then we need to talk. And that's the kind of person I'd be looking to attract.
Right.
Not the person who is like tired, exhausted because you've been putting in huge long hours, blah, blah, blah. No, I want somebody who's not burnt out, who wants to take that and go to that next level and state right up front, if you're looking to leverage and have a fun time with people that can literally have a ton of resources for you to draw on and show you the way that you may not have seen before, then at the very least, this is probably worth a conversation.
Right. Yeah, that sounds more in line with what I really was thinking. Yeah.
So what was your gap? I filled in your gap. Now you got to name and label the sucker.
Yeah, I think I was using the word burnout in a different way than you just used it.
I understand that, but you got to understand what the meaning is. Number one. Number two, what else?
I see that I wasn't using the language that would necessarily speak to that person.
Correct. What else? These are all gaps. Brent, What else do you see? Don't pick on me, Blair. Look, I just saw the. Sarah Lynn did the same thing. Melissa, what were you hearing?
Once you explained what those players, then I could see the language attracting the wrong person, but I don't.
So what's the gap? You're right, but what's the gap that Dawn was missing? Yes, I filled her in a little bit on that, but there's a gap. It's not really super obvious, but it always is in hindsight. Hindsight is 20/20.
Well, I now have better clarity for sure.
On what specifically?
On the avatar, the person I'm targeting.
So what is that about you, though? What's the clarity that actually comes back to you?
Well, I'm more clear on the behavior I need to have and what I need to do to reach that person.
Absolutely true. Now, John, what did she just say? Melissa, what did she just say?
She has a clear definition
of
what she wants.
And
how to get to it.
Potentially, yes. Melissa, what else?
The result, she knows what the result needs to be now.
It's much clearer and cleaner. And what was her gap?
Labeling.
Right. And who is she focused on?
I think she was focused on who she wanted to, herself, but now she's understanding more.
Who was I focused on in terms of helping Dawn see that?
Dawn.
Right. And who did Dawn need to be focused on?
Her teammates.
No.
Well, she also needs to be focused on herself.
Yes.
Yeah, me.
Don,
Yeah.
do you see that as your gap?
Yeah. Yes.
So I want to go right back to, so what kinds of problems do you have? Do you own your own problem? Like in that scenario, were you actually owning your own problem?
Right. So I could see why you would say I was putting the problem as a situation or other.
Right. And not fully on self, other, and situation.
Right.
Not on in all three. It was sort of outside
Right.
of yourself.
Like outside of my control. Right.
Yeah, almost outside of your own control.
Yeah.
And you're waiting for something to come and happen.
Right. But I know there are things I can do, and I know it has to start with me to make any change. It has to start with what I
understand you know that intellectually,
Yeah.
110%, no question. What I'm trying to do is get you to figure out what the value is of this problem in your life right now.
The value of this problem in my life is that I don't have to address my own behavior. Is that what you're getting
that's
at?
the opposite of the direction that I'm going to go, but so perfectly opposite. I think you know what is the value of the problem in your life?
I mean, it doesn't have any value. I want to overcome it.
It has huge value. What's the value that it actually has?
Are you talking about the opportunity, Blair? Like, what's the opportunity?
No, the problem itself. What does the...
It allows me to have an excuse. Is that what you mean?
It does. It allowed you to have an excuse, but you got rid of the excuse. And what did you replace it with?
A behavior.
And?
New language.
And? Okay, self-other situation. Self is over here. Other in situation is over here again.
I'm sorry. I'm missing something still.
Okay. So how do we integrate? I was pointing stuff out to you personally. Mm-hmm. So you were my focal point. How come?
Because I can make a difference with myself.
Yeah, totally can. Yes. But within this problem, what does this mean? Who has control over this problem?
I do.
Now you do. But if you divorce yourself and make it others in situation, all you've got is influence. And if you're out there doing stuff trying to influence, how does that leave you? How does the world see you?
Like out of control or out of sync or
not
connected. Not connected.
Yeah. So if you're now presenting all that stuff, the way that I said it got it so that it was connected. Mm-hmm. But this opportunity, the value of this problem is you figuring out how to integrate self, other, and situation all inside of you. Mm-hmm. So that you are in that sweet spot in self, just in self, but influencing like crazy others in the situation so that you become that magnetic attraction force. Okay, right. For those of you, I'm going to use my whiteboard that may not know exactly what I'm talking about. We have this thing, and I've taught this lesson before.
It's a bit washed out at the top, Blair, because of the light.
Okay, I'll try and change. Thanks, Trevor. That's great.
There we go.
Hopefully that works a little bit better.
Yeah, it's readable right now.
Okay. So in this self area here, we have this area, and this is the sweet spot here, right in the middle. Mm-hmm. Okay. And when you were taking yourself out for self, well, oopsie, I misdrew 1 second here. Okay, so when you disconnect here,
Mm-hmm.
you lose the capacity to functionally influence here. When we're connecting the dots as we need to, we have to have the ability to be congruent with our message.
Mm-hmm.
And the congruency creates that, like when you're out there and you're sort of doing Facebook Lives and whatnot, and you get a really good response, if you go back there and watch the ones that get great responses, you're going to see that you have a lot of congruency and you have been perceived as very authentic.
Mm-hmm.
And that you know what you're talking about, that you have that working knowledge and it's in you. And we can try and fake it till we make it. We can try and do that, but it just doesn't really work at attracting really good people. It attracts less effective people to us, people who want to learn from us, and people who say, yeah, she's got something and I can relate to that.
Yep.
But your skill set is going up quite rapidly and quite effectively. And I don't see you trusting yourself here and going, hold it, let's evaluate myself now. Let's update this and go, what do I now know about me that I didn't know 2 weeks ago even?
Right. That's a great point.
Yeah, and you're not behaving like you've actually stepped it up quite a few notches. And you're not taking a look at you and going, this is the part of you that you've got to grow.
Right.
You're sliding into what you used to do. And I'm thankful that you decided to shake yourself up and to change this pattern, because it is the pattern that you're putting yourself in that's creating a part of the problem.
Mm-hmm.
And not recognizing what other parts of your lack of pattern recognition is holding you stuck. And when we don't see that we're stuck, we can't change, even though we are stuck.
Yeah. I see that I'm stuck for sure.
Exactly. And so that part plays with you. And Bill, there seems to be some not ahas, but some level of gleaning some level of information from this conversation. Can you speak to this?
Well, I'm not currently a network marketer, but I recognize the same problems. I've been trying to do digital marketing, and it's really easy to get stuck and slip into an old pattern. And this model you just presented is a new way of looking at it for me.
And what did you pull from this? Like, I don't need, it doesn't matter whether or not it's internet marketing, digital marketing, or marketing in person, doesn't really matter, because the same pieces apply.
Okay, so what I pulled from it is, let me try and say it in my best words.
Please.
When I'm not integrated in here, there's a disconnect between me and others.
Perfect. Yep. And what does that do for the situation?
Well, it also leaves me disconnected from the situation. So I show up as not present.
And what else does it, what else will it cause you to show up as if you're disconnected from the situation?
Arrogant, maybe distant.
Arrogant and distant are usually almost at the opposite ends of a similar spectrum. What's the spectrum?
Don't know.
Anybody want to take a stab at it?
I think like connectedness, right?
And so you're arrogant in one hand and distant in another.
A sense of curiosity or interest in the relationship, being interest in being connected.
Right, interested in being connected, and curiosity is the main piece. Do you have a lot of curiosity when you're arrogant?
No.
Do you have a lot of curiosity when you're distant?
No.
No.
At least not functionally, because you're not asking questions. You may be curious as hell, but you're not going to ask any questions. And if you are, you're not going to do anything with it. So you're going to be functionally disconnected. Okay. So again, the self is here, and it's not connected, but we have other in situation. If we engage with what?
Curiosity.
John, perfect. No, perfect. It is curiosity. Okay. And what do we have to figure out from curiosity?
Actions to take.
Right. And what question do we turn around and drive to figure out what actions to take?
What specifically might you do?
What specifically might we do? But what does that do? Like, now you're taking a question that I crafted some time ago, and it works, but now we're taking it rote. Mm-hmm. Put that in your brain with serious curiosity, like you're asking yourself that for the very first time. Mm-hmm. And now what do you come up with?
What specifically might I do to connect with this situation and other?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And where might I not be connected?
Right.
With situation and other. And that was part of the gap that I was trying to get you to figure out initially, is to figure out, where am I not connected? Not just where am I connected, but where am I not connected?
Yeah, I didn't see that, so I appreciate you pointing that out.
Yeah, nobody did yet, so I thought I'd just drive it home. So, we got to look at both sides of this coin, because this coin has got content and process on it. So what's true on one hand, the opposite of it is also true. It's not false. It's also true. So again, I'll just say this. What's true on one hand, the opposite of it is also true. It's a bizarre statement, but absolutely true. We have two truths, and they're opposite to each other, and both work. But one can work very, very effectively to get us going towards where we want to go, and one can hold us either stuck or cause us to go in a direction we don't want to go in. Okay? Yeah. And so you've got to be conscious about the actions you take here, Dawn. Mm-hmm. And getting more conscious is going to be critical for you to figure out, what is the difference? What's the difference maker here? And
Blair,
more importantly sorry?
In this situation, you're talking about, where am I connected, where am I not connected? Which of those two is the one that's going to be the least effective and possibly hold you stuck?
And that's
that with two truths, both true at the same time. Which, and when one can help you and one can hold you stuck.
Right. And so, who are you asking that?
I'm asking you because it's not obvious to me.
Okay. Well, then I'm gonna reflect that question to Dawn first.
Okay.
So, John, would you mind asking that question again? Which of situation and other would be most effective to work on? Is that the question you're asking?
Not exactly.
Okay.
What Blair was saying was that he held his hand like this. We have two truths, and they're both true. And one has the ability to move you forward, and the other, focusing on one, has the ability to move you forward, I believe is how he said it. And the other, focusing on the other, has the ability to either hold you stuck or take you possibly in the opposite, away from where you want to go. And I'm asking, so in this situation, which is which?
So I think the most effective thing for me to do in this situation is recognize that working harder doesn't mean connecting more. That looking at my ability to be more authentic and more clear on who I'm speaking to, who I'm looking for, who I'm trying to attract, using that language, that collaborative language. I think the example you gave, Blair, about how to speak to that person is just sort of very collaborative language versus telling, right? It's a lot of questions. If you're that person, then you're the one I'm looking for, you know, is much more collaborative than telling and talking to people.
Right.
So I think that where my energy could go or be best utilized would be to focus on the other and being really clear about that. And then the situation isn't quite as important as finding the person.
When you look at it in a collaborative lens, what happens as a result?
Well, what I would hope.
Let me ask you this. Let's refine that question one step. If you look at it through that collaborative lens and you question it more or less the way that I gave you the example, what do you think happens to the situation? Do you get the situation that you want, or do you get a situation that you don't want?
I think it would become a situation that I want.
Exactly. So are you influencing others and the situation?
Yes.
Right. So don't throw out the situation.
Yeah.
Because the situation has to be inclusive of all, to be effective. What does it have to be inclusive of?
All three.
Right. All three. We got to get back to this state.
Yes.
Okay.
Blair, I'm hearing something when you look at this through the collaborative lens, aren't you moving self into the middle of the situation and others?
You're blending it. You're pulling yourself right back here.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's an overlap. And you're always in the sweet spot here. And this is where you want to be.
That's what you want. Yeah.
This sweet spot. Okay. Right there.
Got it.
That dark spot on the wall, that's where you want to live. If you can. We can't, but we can sometimes. And when we move towards that, we create connection. We create a very collaborative play of possibility.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Does that help?
Yes.
Sorry, Bill, was that helpful?
Yes, indeed. Yes, I get it.
Okay, cool. What did you get? What was the I get it?
Well, I'm guilty of far too often using the self lens undistinguished. So as you say this, I realize I rarely use collaborative language and I rarely ever look at life through a collaborative lens. And it doesn't strike me as terribly hard. It's just not something I'm practiced at.
It's not terribly hard, and most people are not practiced at it. Yet if you listen to language of people who have developed teams, who have made millions, their collaborative language is, I guess, nothing short of, exquisite. Like, it is so subtle, and you feel important by, the people. I have never met Sir Richard Branson, but I've just heard people that I personally know have met him, flown out, been to Necker Island, been there, and heard the guy. And I've heard story after story of him stopping off and talking to one of the people that, the landscaper, the guy who's doing his garden, the gardener, and, stopping off and having a conversation with the gardener, just to say, hi, how are you doing? How's things going today? And the gardener gets into, great, things are going well. So, do you mind if I ask you a question? He goes, no. The gardener says no. And Sir Richard Branson says, do you recognize, or I would like to point out, if you don't mind, just how important your job is to this whole thing. Do you have any idea how important being a gardener here is in this area? And the guy almost burst into laughter, was what I heard, and sort of thinking, he's pulling my leg. And Sir Richard Branson said, no, very seriously, do you have any idea? And the guy serious up and said, no, I don't. And he said, he turned to his friends here, what do you think of the gardener's work here? And, you know, the gardener was paid well, and he was one of a few. He was the head gardener, and he had, like, the Necker Island was like, he said, this whole area is stunning and gorgeous. And I've shown you pictures of where, when I bought the island, how it looked and what we've transformed it to. And he goes, yeah. And now I can bring people out here and charge what I charge, and it's like tens of thousands of dollars for each person to show up. It's not cheap. It's like 25,000, I think it is, to the island, and you pay your own way to get there, and then it's a fee of $25,000 to have an experience. And he says, so how much of this environment that we've created helps you have an effective experience? And the guy, the gardener, was sort of like, oh yeah, I sort of get you. Then he turns to the other two gentlemen and he says, so how much of this is part of the experience? Like, if we had all the dry brush and scrub and jungle and stuff that was here before in different areas, what would your experience be like? And they both thought about it, and they're both marketers, and they both make a lot of money in the seven figures. And they both said, well, I would have felt ripped off.
Mm-hmm.
And so Sir Richard turns back to him and said, you see the value that you're doing it? And how many people are these people going to be able to influence to notice that the smallest things sometimes have the biggest impact?
Mm-hmm.
And it's when we miss those small things, we lose impact. It's a big deal.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. And if we focus on just ourselves, we lose the ability to notice the situation in others and learn how to leverage those people.
Mm-hmm.
And by learning how to leverage the people around us, they want to be on our team. They want to work with us. They want to grow this opportunity. They want to be there.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the difference. That's not a small difference at the end of the day. It might be a small thing, but it's not a small difference. Okay? Just thought I'd share that. That was, and I've got, like, you know, that was one with the gardener. I had another story with you know, somebody who is internally working as sort of like a lower level concierge. And same thing, similar thing. It's always about connection and making value happen and perceived value happen for that person. So, yeah, inauthentic, Katrina. Perfect. Like, if you're authentic, all three circles are connected. If you're not authentic, you're not going to be perceived as, if you're not connected, you're not going to be perceived as authentic. Okay? Okay. So, with that,
great stuff.
Cool. I'm glad you like it. So what worked for you tonight, Bill? I'm going to start wrapping up because I'm going to have to go into another area, but I just noticed it's already 8:05. So I want to do this. And people who are not on the panelists right now, if you could throw stuff in your, Tony, where can I get more information on Mind Models Coach Training, please? And thank you. Tony, Mind Model Coach Training, you can talk to myself or, you know, Trevor's here, but myself, Mind Model Coach Training is something that I'm going to be doing again this fall, just that you know. So I'm already actively going out there and starting to promote it a little bit. We don't have our funnel up for it yet. It's roughly $10,000. The price is set at $9,997 for this fall. And so, and it'll probably be going up again the next time it's offered as well, because I didn't want to jump to the 15 grand that it's going to end up at, but I wanted to incrementally just raise it as I raise my group size, and we've got everything else done. So it's 2 8-day chunk, sorry, 2 4-day chunks. So it's 8 days in total with, approximately 3 to 4 weeks in between the 2 4-day experiences, and then support for another 8 weeks in weekly webinars that will be going in and diving into and getting into the deep end. Wanted to say weeds, but it sort of is weeds, but it's way better than weeds. It's taking this to the next level, or 2 or 3 or 4. And that's really what we're playing with. So that's where I want to go. I want to get my work out to the world. I want to share it. I want to develop people who've got coaching ability. And it's mind model coaching method. This does not give you the skills to go out there and teach mind models. It gives you the method to utilize the mind models. The prerequisite is that you have to have gone through and taken rewiring your mind for wealth, because there's 63 mind models in there. So that is the prerequisite. It's requirement. So you have to go out there, and you can get that at rewiringthemind.com and go to the program, or you can go directly to a website called Rewire for Wealth. That's rewireforwealth.com, and you can buy the product there. And the product is Rewiring Your Mind for Wealth. And that's basically it there. Yeah, Rebecca and Tim and other people on here, most people have bought the product or use it and get a great deal of clarity from it, which helps day to day. And there you go. John put that in there. Thank you. Rewire for Wealth is the VSL for that. So it goes for rewirethemind.com, or not rewiring the mind. Oh, there's 2 ways to get there. You're right. So John, you're right. So anyway, my point being is that there's ways of doing that. And if you want to reach out to me again, Tony, that's great. More than willing to chat with you about this and show you what's happening. So we're going to have it in September and October, because there's 2 chunks of time that we have to do it in, and September, October, and make that happen. Okay. And Bill, I wanted to pick your brain, but you already jumped off and left. So I wanted to know what worked, and what your rating is for today. So Melissa, before you go, what worked for you? And people who are on the panelists, please shoot down your comment about what worked today for you and your number from 1 to 10 on the effectiveness for you. So Melissa, go for it.
I liked going deeper with Dawn and really helping her understand what the issue was and have more clarity. And then at the end where you summarized how to not let that happen again.
Cool. Okay. Glad that worked. 1 to 10?
Oh, sorry, 10. Yep.
Okay, cool. Sarah Lynn, what worked for you tonight?
I really liked, I don't know necessarily what it's called, but what you drew behind you, the whole
self-other situation. That's what I refer to it as. And can sometimes be referred to, we have 2 names for it. We've created this model, Melissa and myself, and it's the control influence.
Okay.
Control versus influence is what this comes down to. What can you control in your life, and what do you have influence over? You can only control self, and you can only influence others and situation. And most people don't even realize that situation exists, and it totally does all the time.
Huh. That made a lot of sense and really helped brought some clarity just for some of my own stuck states and the things that I'm doing to get out of it. So that really helped out a lot, and just to kind of focus, or what to focus my own intentions and behaviors on with that. So that was really helpful. So I'd give it like a 10 today as well.
Super, great. Don, you're up. So just wrapping up here.
Yep. So I definitely gained clarity on how I am distancing myself from the situation and other. I really didn't recognize that. And also the labeling gap that I have had. And I definitely am taking away that I'm going to, my plan is to work. So I'm definitely taking away a plan to work on my connecting really at a genuine level with who I'm looking to connect with. And focusing more on that, the communication.
Yep. Excellent. Awesome.
And I would say I'm like an 8 or a 9.
Super. Great. Brent.
Yeah. So what worked for me was you talked about the two opposite sides of a coin. What is true, the exact opposite is also true. And whichever path you take, one can take you down a road of being stuck, keeping you there, and the other can take you down a path of clarity and congruency and that. So that's what I got from tonight. And I'd say it was a 9 for me.
Awesome. So cool. John.
What worked for me was the focus on, can you hear me? Mm-hmm. Okay. Oh, well, you said Ann Connie, sorry. You're not out of the hot seat.
I know.
Okay. What worked for me was the focus on what is the value of the problem. And, what I took away from, I appreciate Dawn having the specific thing and talking about it. And what came clear for me was that in solving that problem, the value will be, in addition, an increased sense of value in herself. Increasing our own value, and they're kind of that. I see that as the two sides of the coin. They're both interconnected.
They are, and so spot on. That is what starts happening because you start building value in others or projecting that value for others. You start having that value in yourself because you start testing yourself and knowing. You get a knowingness about what you can actually do when you connect all three of those together and you state it and you put it out there, because it's very tough in that, not impossible, but very difficult to lie to yourself in that environment. So anyway.
9.
Super. Connie.
Okay, for me, it was the 4-layer matrix, because that's something that we have been discussing now for a while is clarifying our avatar, so to speak.
Right.
And we've been having a devil of a time with that. So this really helps clarify that and kind of gets me on thinking about it in a brand new way that we can explore further. How's that?
Awesome.
And a 9.
Thank you. Yeah, Connie, thank you. And Jamie, I put Johnny and I don't know how I got Johnny. But Jamie, Alan, thank you. I just read your thing as well too. And 8 without having everything. Super, super, super. And yeah, just plug in your replay comment. So if you're watching this on a replay, please plug in #replay and leave your number if you will. Just love to get those in there. Okay, Trevor. Sorry, for some reason I can't hear you. You just unmuted.
Sorry, you can probably hear me now.
Yep.
I missed a big chunk there because I had a call that came in, so I had to disappear for a bit.
No worries.
I'm not quite sure where that went. But
it was really good. It was really good.
I guess I'll have to take your word for it. The piece I ended was when we were still working on self, situation, and other. Just a reminder that having to ask effective questions about how I can connect myself to the situation and other, to make sure I'm actually influencing and focusing on what I can control. That would probably be the biggest thing. Brandy said some things on the Facebook Live. She said what worked for me was helping Dawn get more clarity on what the actual problem is and her piece in it and how she can control and influence and the collaborative language. And she gave it a 9.
Super. Thank you so much, Brandy. That's spot on. Well done. Well done. Yep. Awesome. Guys, was great working. I believe I got everybody tonight. Screens are moving around because Bill popped off and whatnot. Would love to have heard his take on it. Jamie, thank you for coming on late. Katrina, thanks for showing up. Hey, Rebecca, good. Tim, great job jumping on. Tony, always great to have you around. So please feel free to jump on again. Okay, so anyway, every Tuesday night, we're here to the best of our ability, and I'm going to be, my brain is sweating. Yes, I tend to have that effect on people. Anyway, you guys take care. You have a great night, and talk to you again next week, if not sooner. Bye for now.